So when we come out of this lockdown around the world, I think e-commerce, digital business, e-health, e-education, and everything to do with the digital will happen. And that will change the world for the future. The future is going to be fully digital. And for young people like you who are born in that digital era, and who possibly were born with a cell phone in their hands, this is a remarkable time to be.
We have a very special guest joining us today. Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
Awesome.
Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yeah, loud and clear. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this and coming on our Instagram live. I know this is the first time that you're doing an Instagram live, so it's an honor to that you've chosen to do it with us. You clearly need no introduction. Today our guest is Mr. Mohandas Pai. But for those, we have a lot of international members who are part of our community. So for those of you who may not know him, I'm going to read out his bio. Mr. Mohandas Pai is a Padma Shri Award winner. He was the former CFO and board member at Infosys. He was also the co-founder, and this is the thing that I find the most interesting about him, of Akshaya Patra, which is the world's largest midday meal program. And it's such a proud thing that it's an Indian. We were able to pull off such an initiative in India. He works. Mr. Mohandas Pai works with the government actively. He's a board member of SEBI, and he's part of the National Stock Exchange of India. He is a prolific angel investor, part of some incredible Bangalore-based and Indian startups that you guys might know of. I'll let him expand and talk about some of his startups that he's mentoring. So I'm going to hand it over to you. Okay. Just before that, I just wanted to say that we wanted to keep the tone of this. I'm sure you get asked a lot of financial questions, a lot of questions about startups. I'm sure the audience would want to have those kind of questions, but I wanted to keep the message positive today. Talk about how you're spending your time at home, and just keep it very lighthearted. So.
Okay. It's the first time in my life, and I've been around for some time, that I actually spent 1 month in my home without going out. Because we started this sometime around March 10, and it's nearly a month now. Because in Bangalore, we had the lockdown much earlier. We shut our offices. And it's been pretty good. I've not missed going out because I have a good schedule. We are connected digitally. So I go to my gym in the house in the morning and the evening. In between, of course, 3 meals a day. My poor wife has to take care of me. And it's a bit sad because there's nobody at home to help. And, you know, I don't know how to cook or do anything. I'm a total novice, hopeless fellow. So she has to take care. And, of course, do your email, talk to people, conference calls, write some articles. I've been writing articles on the economic stimulus for India, on what we need to do to reconstruct India after this whole thing gets over, etc. So it's been good fun talking to old friends and catching up. And funnily enough, no stress because of no commute. Even though my office was just next door, I used to walk half a kilometer to my office. You know that next down Safina Plaza on Millers Road. You know
yes,
that.
Definitely.
But now, you know, I mean, it's been quite good, and I feel more healthy, much better. And I'm wondering why I didn't do it earlier.
Yeah, it's incredible. Even with me, I feel like I've been so productive, and I've really been enjoying this time. Which is initially, when it started off, it was quite the opposite. I was scared. What am I going to do once I'm stuck at home?
Yes, Azaan, and you know, it's incredible because I think this lockdown around the world will change people's habit in a very remarkable manner. You know, you are the generation that is the Instagram generation. I'm the earlier generation. For me, Twitter. I'm not on Facebook too. Let me tell you, I don't like Facebook. I'm on well, you know, I'm on Twitter and email. So it's a old generation.
You're very active on Twitter. I keep following you.
Yes, I'm very active on Twitter, and you know, Twitter is good fun because you can bash up people before you go to bed and share news. and quarrel with the whole world. And also, you see, people's habit will change primarily because people are used to being in the digital world. You folks are lucky because you work with your mobile, you do everything online, and you have a lot of people with whom you interact. You know how to do things. But for many other people, maybe 75% of humanity, this is a time when they're going fully digital. So when we come out of this lockdown around the world, I think e-commerce, digital business, e-health, e-education, and everything to do with the digital will happen. And that will change the world for the future. The future is going to be fully digital. And for young people like you who are born in that digital era, and who possibly were born with a cell phone in their hands, it's a remarkable time to be, because this is your future. And when the inflection point like this happens in society, by force or otherwise, then the whole thing changes. So you are at a great advantage, and you're going to see a huge burst of innovation happening in the digital world.
Undeniably. What are some of the sectors, sir, that you think will be the first to kind of get disrupted and to benefit from this shift onto this digital wave that you're talking about?
I think the biggest sector in my mind, funnily enough, will be entertainment. Because please remember, all around the world, people do have money. They want entertainment. And there's a huge amount of content that's happening. Many people, performers are coming on to the web, and they have their own YouTube channel. They're on Instagram. They're all over the place. TikTok is taken off. And TikTok is, I don't know whether it's funny or crazy or whatever it is. People love to see that.
Do you have a TikTok, sir?
No, I'm not on TikTok. I get
yet.
Once in a while. No, I don't want to be. I don't want to be. I think it's very short term. It is very short. And I think entertainment is going to be there, and e-education. I think online education is going to take off in a big way, because people will find that the classical education is very expensive, and you don't have to spend 4 years in college and get stuck to one single college with all the courses. Online, you can do many courses, change what you want, go to different universities, get all the credits. So that's going to be a big disruption. And health too is going to be a disruption, because you can easily talk to doctors, everybody, when you want some consulting. And there are a lot of material on the web, and doctors are now getting used to this. And from the government side, e-governance will take off, because now people and government understand they can interact digitally in a very big way. And of course, e-commerce, because I think e-commerce is going to penetrate every part of our lives, because people are finding that it's not worth traveling long distances unless you got nothing else to do. It's not worth going to some aisles and trying to pick stuff. Of course, there is shopping therapy for many people. It's therapeutic for many people who want to go shopping, spend some time, because they feel that is very relaxing. But for many people who are busy getting food at home and doing many things, I think 25, 30, 40% of all activity we do as normal human beings will be digital. For the large part of the population, people like you, it could be 70, 80%. I mean, if you go to China, and I've been going to China, 2 generations, maybe 1.5 generation of people have grown up using WeChat and everything else. It's remarkable how they operate, how they work, because China has got a whole lot of young people who have grown up on Baba and Byju and WeChat and Tencent. So they're very different compared to everybody else. The reading is digital. They share everything, and they interact, and they live very differently.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Let's explore some of these areas that you spoke about. You said the entertainment was one of the biggest sectors that you thought would get this, will see this whole wave of digitization. But do you see Indian startups, Indian companies actually standing a chance with players like Amazon Prime, Disney Plus? Now there's a new startup called Quibi that's coming in.
Well, let's remember one thing. Content is basically dependent upon creativity. There is a company in India called Pocket Aces. Pocket Aces in Mumbai, where we have an investment enough. It's a good company there in Bangalore too. And they got some of the top hits, little things and top hits, which is running on Netflix. So these become OTT platforms. Netflix is pouring billions of dollars in creating content, and they're trying to buy all the content. So the industry will now go to content creators. Many of them, filmmakers, will create content for Netflix. But over a period of time, investors will come in and try to create their own content and license it to Netflix. So we are going to see a lot more digital content coming up, digital entertainment coming up. And for young people who are very creative, they can make do with low cost. Because today, using digital media, the cost of doing all this content has crashed. And you can see that happening. For example, I don't think anybody in your generation watches TV anymore. You don't watch TV, you watch videos, right? I don't know whether you people read newspapers at all. So I've ever read a newspaper. So that is, and today in 20 days, there were new newspapers, and I think people are going to online to get all the content. When that happens, there'll be a lot of individual stars who will come up. On YouTube, there are many individual stars. There'll be groups of people who will come and create content, but it's a very hard business, and monetization is a bit difficult. So you've got to find ways of monetizing, but there are many startups who are going to musicians, getting their music out, putting it on their portal and trying to monetize. And I think the subscription economy will take off, but a lot of people are going to get hurt. That means the old big firms are going to get hurt because if you spend $3-4 billion and you put it on OTT, and you're not going to go to the cinema theaters and pay $8, $24 to watch a movie and collect so much of money in the first few weeks, then you're going to be in trouble. So I think we're going to see a sea change, and there's going to be greater variety.
Ultimately, in all areas, it seems like the consumer wins.
Well, the consumer wins, but remember that somebody has to pay. All right, right now for Netflix, the investors are paying. Netflix is making losses. Some investors are paying in the hope that it'll take off. So somebody is paying somewhere, and tomorrow you find that it's not viable anymore, then the models will change.
No, definitely. I agree. I'm gonna start reading out a couple of audience questions because they're really piling up. Raina, who's a good friend of mine, is asking about restaurants shifting to cloud kitchens and your thoughts on that.
Well, I think some restaurants will shift to cloud kitchen. The models will be 3 or 4 ways. First of all, a restaurant will be a virtual restaurant going to a cloud kitchen to create their own menu and sell. So you won't have a physical location. You'll have a virtual location, but you'll cook in a cloud kitchen. That's one. Second, there'll be commodity cloud kitchens, which will churn out dishes in thousands and hundreds of thousands, which will sell to you. And third, there'll be gourmet chefs who will try to experiment and have their own shows and then send you the food to some cloud kitchens, because the fact is all restaurants are not viable. So many restaurants close down because they're not viable. People want variety. So when you put up a lot of money and people get bored of the same restaurant after 2 years, you have to change the menu, you have to refresh. Here is a way where you can go to a cloud kitchen, hide the equipment, and cook and then change it and go somewhere else and go on changing your menu. Because in a restaurant, there is ambience. There's ambience, and some people are willing to pay for the ambience, and there is food, and there is a change in menu. Now, food and change in menu can be done through cloud kitchens because you can supply it home. And the ambience is something that most people may want it once in a while, because you want to take somebody important out to, give a ring or do something nice or do something, have a nice bottle of wine or whatever you do to impress. You want to go to a swanky restaurant, right? But there are too many restaurants as it is. So I think the number of swanky restaurants will remain, but a lot of them will go. And we're going to see a new model. I think there'll be a 35-40% shift in the restaurant business to cloud kitchens.
No, definitely. I think this week Swiggy raised another round of funding.
But Swiggy...
This one was for grocery, I think.
Yeah, but Swiggy and Zomato are very different because, they have a national footprint. Essentially, they want to get all the delivery, and they're trying to create data and become the key point between the consumer and the restaurant. And I think they're playing a very difficult game because in the food delivery business, there's no money. You can't make money. So they have to get a margin from the restaurants. And many restaurants become dependent on them, then I think they won't like it because, Swiggy can turn the tap off. Then you're going to be in trouble. So Swiggy and Zomato are fighting for domination because both things, the winners take all market. Let's see who is going to go? Very soon, I think they will settle down
Amazon.
and try to become valuable. I mean, try to become viable, because people don't want to keep pouring money down that big black hole with a sucking sound.
Definitely. Do you think Amazon's going to enter the space, sir?
I don't think so. I mean, my view is not, because Amazon has got lines of business like grocery, fresh fruit, delivery, books, etc. And the cloud kitchen and everything else is very management intensive. It is a capital intensive and management intensive. There is so much for Amazon to do. And also remember, cooking fresh food and delivering is not easy, because every dish has got to be right, it's got to be hygienic, it's got to be perfect. Whereas selling packaged commodities and selling even grocery is much easier, because cooked food is a different kettle of fish, maybe fried fish. So I think it's a very different business. It's very management intensive. And also, you know, in cloud kitchens, we can't have a standard fare, because people want variety, right? When you look at South Indian, you want Malayali, you want Andhra, you want Telugu, you want Kurgi, you want Chettinad in India. There's so much of variety of food. So
a lot of customization.
So that you can't build a scale based on thing. And in a cloud kitchen, standardization will not work beyond a point, because the taste, there's no taste in standardization. You want a very sharp taste, a particular taste, you go to a particular place. For example, when you have a Muslim wedding, the biryani is outstanding. Why is that? Slow cooking, large, volumes. It's very different from getting biryani anywhere else, right? But you can't recreate it in a cloud kitchen. You can't do that. It becomes very difficult. So I think variety will remain. There will be commoditized food, which will be there. So I think we're going to shift the model, and number of restaurants will come down. Capital costs or more will come down.
Very interesting. Speaking of food, we have an audience question from Prati Bashvaji. She says, what about the agriculture industry? What kind of a hit do you think it's going to take? Is it going to be drastic?
I don't think it's going to be drastic, because, people have to eat every day. Yes, probably they will eat less grains. They will eat more protein. People will shift. And I think the fact remains, because of climate change, in many parts of the world, things are going to get dry. And it means that agriculture will be more concentrated in certain areas. And I think the challenge with agriculture is that the farmer does not get the right price. So what we'll see in agriculture will be the rise of agri-techs. Agri-techs will connect the consumers to the farmers, like a Daily Ninja in Bangalore, for instance, which buys 1,000 tons of fruits and vegetables a day and delivers it to retailers. 1,000 tons is a lot of fruit and vegetables. They sort it out, they grade it and do it. So I think as far as agriculture is concerned, there will be a shift to exotic foods, exotic vegetables, and there will be a shift to, let us say, organic food and highly specialized food. There will be a shift to natural food, which is not, genetically engineered and organically grown, so that people get the kind of fresh food that they want. So the variety will go up. So I think that industry will remain, but it will morph from what it is today to something else. For example, we're going to have vertical farming.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you. I was going to ask you, between agroponics, aeroponics, hydroponics, all of these things going on, do you think there's potential for this in India?
I think there's potential for a very important reason. Because like in New York, where you have the largest one of these companies, growing these vegetables, if you're very close to the city, logistical problems go away. You can deliver fresh within 3 hours, 4 hours. Then
no
the transport
pesticide
costs, the sorting costs and all goes away. This is very hygienic. You can do it. So I think there will be a shift in India, maybe 5-10%, maybe more, to having these vertical factories closer to the cities and the consumer. But it's going to be expensive, because it's very expensive, and it will cater to certain tastes. But it will be, and it will take away a large segment of it. But it's an interesting thing happening in India. The percentage of people depend on agriculture is coming down. 15 years ago, 60% of the population agriculture, now is 43%. Every year there's a decline of 1 to 2%. India requires not more than 10% of people in agriculture. So like all countries, there'll be a shift of people. So I think now there'll be larger farms, there'll be more mechanization in the next 10, 15 years as India grows. So agriculture will remain, it will become more specialized, more variety, more organic, more real, and people will like premium products, are willing to pay for health and safety.
Higher margin items such as lettuce, kale, and
Yeah,
those kind of things.
because purchasing power is going up, and everybody wants to be slim. Today, if you are rich and very, let us say you are rich and you're well known, you want to be very slim, right? About 50 years ago, if you're rich, you're supposed to be plump. Now the poor people in America are becoming very plump and very big because they eat junk food, and all the rich guys are becoming extremely slim, and most of them don't want to eat at all.
Yeah. Intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting, all kind of stuff, just to live longer.
Yeah.
Because today, the world has more millionaires than any point of time in human history. For a millionaire or a billionaire, what is important? Long life. They want to be healthy. They want to have fun at the age of 90. You know what kind of fun they want to have. And they want to live that 1 year longer. They're willing to spend millions and billions to get more life. And for that, this kind of healthy foods, all kind of stuff is going to become very, very available.
That's a perfect transition to our next question. Stanley, who lives at the hub, he's involved in the events industry. So he's asking, how do you think events-based companies will cope with the lockdown? Won't it be hard for the next few months, or say a year, to attract customers?
I think it'll take a year, primarily because people don't have money. People have lost a lot of money. Revenues have gone away for the month, and there's going to be a slow recovery because consumers don't have money. Business enterprises have lost money because no revenues. They have to pay the fixed costs. So I think the events will be slower. It will pick up. There'll be some mega events which are already funded, where people have the event where people need to have. But the number of events that everybody had, I feel is going to come down. So the way out is to create events which lead to business, not events which are just to get people there, make them feel good and have a cocktail and go, but events which lead to business for the people who are organizing the events. Because events are a great way of marketing. Events are a great way of getting people together in one place. And when people are not consuming and growth is not there, people will want to market. So if you're able to change your tack and realign what customers want today, I think there is a market there. But my view is that it's going to be slow for the next 1 year, because many of the event companies too won't get up. They'll disappear because they won't be able to sustain the loss, regroup and get everything else. So I think it's going to be a difficult time.
Speaking of events, so what are your thoughts on what the event sector is seeing? Like a startup like us, we're a completely offline, co-working, co-living and events-based business. So everything we do involves bringing people physically together. And with the lockdown, we've tried to explore this new concept of virtual events, virtual workshops. What we're doing today, we have about 40 people from all over the world tuned in live, watching this right now. More are going to watch it after. Do you think there's scope for this to kind of translate into some form of a business model? Or do you think it's a short-lived thing where people are making the most of a free platform like Instagram to come together and just
no, but Azaan, but Azaan, remember that people's habits are changing, right? People want variety. People want some specialists. People want some very narrow thing that they want to do and see. So they will see whatever is interesting, whatever they want to do. And for them, having events in the digital world will be very, very good because, it's asynchronous. It can be synchronous and asynchronous. Asynchronous means you can store it, they can see it later whenever they got time. Synchronous means they can come on the particular time and watch it. So I think this will expand, but physical events, I think, will come down. Physical events will come down, and I think that that is something that we have to be very careful about. Because remember, your generation and my son Pranav's generation, Pranav and Siddharth run a venture capital fund. They're very young.
341 Capital.
314 Capital.
314
They're going to be the majority in the economic sphere in the next 10-15 years, right? And when they become the big players and people like you, they will have the money to spend, right? And who has the money to spend will call the shots. And you want to do things your way, right? don't want to go for too many physical events. You want virtual events. You want specialized events. You want events at particular times, and you want a very wide breadth. So I think what you're doing in the digital world will expand. The physical events where you go and spend a lot of time will diminish, because a whole generation of people grew up on that. It is exciting. There's a buzz. You go there. Now, I don't know whether people like you like that buzz and like to go and meet people, wander around and see the crowd and feel excited. I think you get bored after some time, because, the crowd is all over the place. You're not sure what is happening there. You're not sure what you want to do. And, you want to touch and feel what you want to do, and you can't choose, because so many things are happening simultaneously.
Most importantly, like you mentioned, the traffic, getting there itself.
Yeah. I think, Azaan, my view is that most enterprises will say that 25-30% of the workforce should work from home continuously by rotation, not the same people, so that they learn how to keep ready in case of a crisis. I think it's important, because for most of them, the digital world is the future, and they have to be prepared. And now there are tools and sites by which you can work remotely very easily with proper security. 3-4 years back, there were not enough tools. The bandwidth was very poor, and you did not have the software to do that and to connect and to ensure security. Now I think all the things are coming because of new technology by startups. So you're going to see this happening in a big way. It's going to impact the developed world much more, because when you're growing 1 or 2% a year, if over a period of time, a lot more people than what I've been doing, don't come to office, work remotely because of various reasons, it basically means that, real estate will not develop, commercial properties will come down. But India will grow after this year, maybe 6.5-7% a year. So there'll be tremendous growth in India. So we will not have this problem for at least 10 years. But in the developed world, there'll be a problem. And of course, I think automobiles will see declining sales in future because of the sharing economy, and because the people don't want to commute so much, and working models will change. Sale of fuel will come down. Hopefully, pollution will come down. People are actually breathing better air now, staying at home. Otherwise, and you're able to see the blue sky. You're able to see the blue sky.
It's amazing, because BBC keeps showing aerial maps of China, of India, of different countries last year versus this year. Yeah. And you can see one of the benefits of everybody staying in and everything staying shut is clear skies. So we actually are getting to breathe cleaner air.
Yeah, people are saying the Ganga is becoming purer and cleaner. And in Delhi, they're saying that the Yamuna has got some good water, which I can't believe at all. I can't believe that. There's so much happening there. But but I think this is going to make people rethink their lives. I think all this while, people's focus was on get more, do more, get more assets, accumulate more.
It was about ownership.
Ownership.
Now it's about access.
People will think, do I really need this? Why do I need more of this? Why can't I share it? And why should I buy it? And also, what about the environment? Don't I want a blue sky? Don't I want fresh air? Do I want traffic congestion? Do I want to sit in a car or a vehicle 2 hours a day? People will dislike that, because when you're home today, even though you're logged in and you're working from home, and it's very difficult to work from home, Azaan, because many people don't have the space in their own homes. And when you have family, kids and all that, is a mess. I mean, it's not easy. You go mad, because you don't have enough space for yourself. You and I are lucky. We have our own home offices, whatever it is. You have a whole big place all to yourself. So, but the people are going to change, and that I think is going to impact everything that we do, and people will want fresh air, fresh water. There'll be a premium on good environment.
I couldn't agree more. I think what demonetization did for digital payments in India, this lockdown is going to do for remote working and freelancing and shared economy. It's going to result in a similar kind of jump, like a complete push into that. Because we've always, for the last few years, we've had these tools like Zoom, Skype, WhatsApp, Instagram, but businesses have never really had the reason to go all in and say, okay, we're going to try and work from home.
Yeah, I think what you say is very, very right. And also for people like us who are much older than you, Azaan, this virus coming is suddenly raising questions in our mind that, what do you want to do with your life? Because just imagine you achieved much and you are doing well, and suddenly there is a virus that comes, there is no cure, and you will get infected and you're gone. What are you going to do? So what are the priorities of life? So I think human relationship will improve. Your friends become more valuable, family becomes more valuable. The things that you want to do, you'll do. So you'll spend less time getting more and more, acquiring more and more, rethink what the purpose of your life. I mean, you are a young man, you're all young people, you will not understand this. But for older people, I think, it makes a lot of difference. So I think we're going to see a lot more retirement at the top. A lot more people opting out of the workforce saying, look, I'm going to do things that I want to do with my life, and I'm going to live very differently. So I think people will see changes in the habit too.
No, I completely agree with you, sir. As much as you say what you said applies to the older generation, I think if we've always seen spending as a proportion for millennials is one of their highest categories is on experiences. So as we've realized very early on as a generation that we don't know, the future is uncertain. And now with remote working coming in, I think people are going to push themselves to travel more, spend more on experiences. They can be sitting on a beach, working 4 hours a day, getting the job done. I think we'll see all of these interesting trends emerge now. So it's an exciting time.
The gig economy will expand tremendously, because then people can choose the quantum of work they want to do. But there is a danger. There is no security. You're not sure of a job. Something like this happens, there's no work for you. There's no social security. So you got to make sure that you have a honeypot somewhere and you are able to survive. There is the plus and minus.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to see some major shifts in terms of protections for these gig economy workers in terms of health benefits and other benefits that a full-time employee gets?
I don't think so all around the world, because governments and regulations are very unsure. In California, I think all the gig workers for Uber, they said they're all employees, etc. But you must remember that, a gig worker is a person who decides when he or she wants to work. They don't follow any rules about working. They have the option to opt in, option to opt out. Correct. They can work at any point of time. They can refuse and come back after 1 year, do what they want. So there's a freedom, and there's a price to be paid for the freedom. But what could happen? What could happen is, whenever a gig economy person gets paid, the law could change to say, whatever you pay them, a part of it should go into a social security account. Right now you pay them. Next time, if you have to pay them 100 rupees, they will say 20 rupees you put into an account in his name, and 80 rupees you give it to them, so that they will have a kitty as a forced saving, and that could work.
Kind of like a PF and ESI on a very micro payment scale.
That could work. That could work, because then they will have the flexibility of working when they want, doing what they want, and a part of the money will be stored. But that's going to drive costs up, because remember, in the gig economy, what you save on social security, you try to give to that person. And the person who's working thinks that is getting more money. But ultimately, what he's getting is what, is a total cost of ownership, total cost of working. And they may get it in hand, but it will not be there for them in the future. So
the flexibility versus the risk of uncertainty.
Yeah. And people will not understand this unless a crisis like this happens. Because today, look at all the Uber drivers, right? Look at all the Ola drivers. They got no work. They got no work and no money. And all of them live on cash flows. Every day, the cash coming in, every week, the cash coming in is what keeps them alive. And they look forward to work. And if the whole work disappears for a month, 2 months, what will they do?
100%. Sharanya has a question about the automobile sales, which are already down. I think the other day I was seeing some statistics. Numbers were as high as 85, as low as 85% fall in sales for Mahindra. I think was the worst hit amongst all auto brands in India. What are your thoughts on the auto sector? Do you think electric vehicles is going to be a bigger theme, or do you think subscription in terms of leasing vehicles is going to be bigger, or is it going to be like shared economy with things like Uber, Ola, where you just where the driver comes and takes you? Which it's obviously going to be a combination, but which one would you place your chips on?
There's a very funny thing that happened in the last SARS crisis. The SARS crisis happened in China and other places. Very soon after that went up, automobile sales went up by 60-70%. Because, when you're going in a shared vehicle, you're not sure of the hygiene of the vehicle. You're not sure of the hygiene of the driver. You're not sure of the hygiene, who has sat there, who has done weight in the vehicle, etc. So you are scared for your safety. So people will want individual commute. And people who go by buses may say that, look, I don't want to go by a bus. I've got people next to me. I don't know who they are. I don't know whether the bus is hygienic. What is there? I want my own vehicle. So we could see an increase in car ownership. We could see an increase in more traffic. It will be bad. They will have to do more work from home. But I think that could happen very well. But the point is, I think electric vehicles are a separate category. And electric vehicles will take off in the future despite the oil prices being low for a very important reason. The cost of the electric vehicle is coming close to the cost of a normal car. So in terms of higher costs, in higher costs, the cost differential will not be there. It will be the same. Tesla is selling a car for $35,000. In another 4 or 5 years, you could get the same car for $20,000 because the battery cost could come down, the range could improve, and there are many technologies coming there. And also, the car can be with you longer. I mean, the Tesla can go over 500,000 kilometers. It's a great experience, and people might want it. So I think the future is in electric vehicles. Electric vehicles are going to be cheaper. But the key thing is, are electric vehicles going to be part of the sharing economy? I believe so, because the operating costs are going to be lower. But right now, I think most people are unsure whether there'll be a China effect of seeing an increase in personal ownership of cars for some time till people forget about this virus and then settle down and say, okay, fine, I can do the sharing economy and I can do many things. And we don't know about public transport and buses because, people who go in air-conditioned buses otherwise, they say, look, I don't want to take the risk for the next 6-8 months, or I want a car, or whatever it is. So, it's very unsure. But the key thing is, what you saw in the fall in sales for automobile companies is not real. It happened because of some bad circumstances. They shift to Bharat 6 in fuel. And we got better fuel now for April 1. And this lack of sales and change in models, etc. So I think the last 6 months have been bad. So we got to see the next 6 months, next 1 or 2 years to find out the trend.
Very interesting. Guys, if you have questions, we can take a few more questions. Eman, who works for us, has a question. She says, hello, sir. Due to the pandemic situation, the educational sector has also been affected despite institutions conducting virtual classes. Still lies the concern of the year being hampered. How is Manipal as an institution approaching it, and what are your thoughts, sir?
Well, let me say this. I think the entire calendar is getting shifted by 2 months. For all over the world, I think all countries, and especially India, the calendar gets shifted for 2 months. That means the 10th exam, the 12th exams are getting shifted. It could happen in June because we're not sure what will happen in April and May, and you've got to give a lead time. And then joining college also gets shifted. So I think we're going to have a gap of 2 months or 3 months this year, and the calendar will be shifted. It'll take 1 or 2 years to adjust because a year after this, possibly the summer holidays could be coming down so that you come to a more normal calendar. And all over the world, I think most universities will give you enough time to join because they understand that the world is shut down for 60 days and nothing is happening. But we are going to see more of online because right now universities, including Manipal, are teaching their students online because technology is available, platforms are available. Manipal has a very, very large online education platform. Much of the online degrees are being done on the Manipal platform. So I think everybody has shifted. So in future, it's going to be online, offline, and classroom work will be more for discussion or more for project work. And I think we're going to have flipped classrooms. And so I think the disruption in education will be very, very large in the next 5 years. We're seeing Byju suddenly get 6 million new students coming on. I mean, we gave the first check to Byju 7 years ago. Okay, wow. We gave the first check. So, wow. So it's very interesting how big Byju is. The most valuable edtech company in the world now. It's from Bangalore. So I think, we're going to see education shift. But the important thing in education is with online coming, students may actually get more choice. For example, Azaan, if you want to do a degree in nuclear science with chemistry and dance and logic and cricket and music, You can't do it today, right? But tomorrow you'll be able to do it because you can go to the best universities offering each of these courses, get a credit, then go to an online university which will take all that, and provided you have the total number of credits, give you a degree. So I think we're going to see a shift in online, offline, and a variety of degrees coming up, and the students will have more choice. So but it'll take time in India because India is in a very peculiar situation. The top 20% is very good. The bottom is still very, very slow to change. And the people who come the bottom are many first-time learners. First time in their family, they've been to college. So they require hand-holding and help because they don't have resources in their homes like you and I possibly have or had. So I think we'll see the shift. But in the West, I think the shift will be much, much more rapid. Because students are asking, why should I pay $200,000 for an MBA for 1 year? Why can't I do online, offline over 3 years, pay some $50,000 or $60,000 and do that?
Yeah.
Why should I spend 3 years for a degree? Why can't I spend 5 years doing a degree, 3 years working and going to class, etc.? So I think we're going to see many shifts.
I agree 100%. My sister was studying in California when all of this happened, and her university shut down and they sent her back home. So she's back here, she's doing online classes, and she's a little upset. She's like, I didn't get to have my final semester with my friends and all of that. But I'm just thinking, what differentiates an educational institution like a university from an online digital entertainment platform like a Netflix? Because like the way it's moving, they're both essentially becoming the same. The best talent, the best professors or the best content creators can now cater to essentially the entire subset of population wanting to consume that type of content. So like one biology teacher, the best one in the world, could get paid millions of dollars and teach the entire planet biology. Then what happens to all the other teachers and the way the things used to work before?
Aarin, a good question. Aarin, but remember, why do you go to college? Okay? You go to college because the college has got a brand. And you want to get a brand. And the brand will be there with you for all your life. Second, the college creates a network. As an alum of the college, you have a network. And the network becomes powerful as you get older because many doors open for you. Third, you go there for socialization. You go there because you want to spend time with your peers. You want to spend time with your own age group. You want to make boyfriends, girlfriends, and you want to create a network. You want to have fun together. You want to do all the things that you want to do in college, which you read about in books, and other people did it, your parents did it, and you don't want to do much better than them, right? And then, of course, you want to go to class too. And for many people like you and many young people, going to class is a corollary, is not the main thing to do. So you go to class, you do an exam, etc., and you learn. And the learning can be largely offline, it can be online. You don't have to go to class, you can do your projects, you can do many things else. But this socialization, this brand, network, peer value is very important. And those you will not get online. That you will not get online. And also, Aarin, you must remember, you are in the stage of your life, 18 to 23, which is a very important part of your life. You're growing up, your world vision will be created at that point of view. Your view of the world, what you feel, what you think is very important. And you are a social animal. So you need socialization. You need to meet people. You need to talk to people. You need to be in groups. You need to argue. You need to fight. You need to debate. You need to move around. You need to have fun. You need to talk to teachers. You need to get together. That is an inherent human necessity. And if you miss all that, you're missing something very important in your life. Because that phase of life is very, very critical for you for your future. So that will be required. So you require all that. So you'll not go the whole way. Maybe 30-40% will go the online way. The balance will still be there because people want to meet and build networks.
Because you're in this space, I want to probe a little further, sir.
Okay.
The 3 or 4 points you brought up in terms of the university having a brand, do you think that the branding power will shift from the university to the content creator like it has in the media industry? That's addressing the branding power, the concept of universities. In terms of peer exposure, I'm taking an online class by the American startup. It's called Coursera, essentially similar to Byju's. So they've created micro communities where you still get the interaction, you still have batches and classes where you discuss, but the content still comes from one central professor, which is being distributed to many micro communities. So they're trying to find the best of both worlds strategy there. Do you think that these edtech startups can use tricks like these to essentially gain like massive market share and market dominance?
Yeah, but they can take, but remember, Aarin, the scarcity value disappears. See, for a brand to be there, you need scarcity value, right? Why are the most valuable fashion brands scarce and limited editions? So suppose you have a Harvard Business School MBA and there are 25,000 people doing that course. I mean, come on, the demand is not there for 25,000 people a year, right? The demand is there only for maybe 1,000 people. So there has to be a scarcity value. A brand is also built on a scarcity value.
That's interesting.
So once it becomes mass, then it becomes a commodity, the value comes down. And then the network. The network is, you want a network of peers who belong to a social group or who are high achievers, etc.
Okay.
And that will not be there. When 20,000 people come, all of them are not high achievers, right? Many of them will have limited ambition or limited means. They will not go up the ladder because everybody doesn't go up the ladder, right? So there are many other things.
Have you heard of a company called Masterclass?
Well, I read about them, yes.
So I think what you said reminded me of that. They're trying to create a separate tier of premium, ultra premium content blocked by a paywall, which can only be accessed by people willing to spend. Again, it's a subscription service where they have the best of the best, only teaching things like everything from direction to video editing to marketing, everything.
I know, Aarin, but it will have a limited market because there are enough good people available in the marketplace who are doing it for free.
For free. And YouTube Academy.
YouTube Academy. And they're very good people. It's not that there are only 10 people in the world who are so very good that they are the dadas. That's not there. That's not there anywhere in the world, in the academic world, right? There are hundreds and thousands of people around the world, very, very good. Yeah, there will be at least about 10-15 million faculty around the world, and maybe 25,000 are very good. All 25,000 are not going to be here. So I think it has got a limited utility for people for very many reasons.
Interesting. So Ishwar asks a question. Do you think education will? How do you think education will change going forward? I think we've covered that. Will colleges and education institutions invest more in online education? Do you think each college will have kind of their own online academy, or do you think that there could be a platform like Byju's on which each of these colleges could go and offer their courses, kind of like what Coursera does? Which way do you think it could go?
I think it will go through the way of the Coursera courses being part of the curriculum, because that's easier. You get high quality content. You don't have to spend on the content. Because remember, everybody cannot create high quality content. I mean, if you look at that Swayam, which is being done by the MHRD ministry, there are so many courses where people mumble. You don't want to go hear that because people are mumbling. They don't know how to do. You see, running an online course is a specialization because, people are short time spans. You got to keep it interesting. And the studio work has got to be very good. The studio quality has got to be very good. And it is not easy for everybody to do that. So every college, everybody will not be able to do that. So they will buy the content, they'll subscribe to the content, and they will use it as part of what they do. And the students will also subscribe in case the parents can afford it, so that they get an edge. Because remember, look at it, Aarin, you got an exam tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. It's mathematics. So you study, then you go to sleep at 12 o'clock. At 3 o'clock in the morning, you wake up in a dream and you're shivering because suddenly in your dream, you went to the exam and you couldn't answer the question. So what do? Right? So you will want a Byju course with a chatbot helping you to revise and do everything else so that you get all the answers so that you grow in confidence by the time you go at 10 o'clock. Correct? Because at 3 o'clock, there's going to be no teacher available for you to take you through. Your parents can't answer the question. Nobody can help you out. Right? So, there is a place for online. There is a place for everything. And there is a place for the classroom, but I think from purely being offline, it will go to maybe 30-40% online and the balance offline. And that the 30-40% could be also outside the class hours.
I wanted to hear quickly from you. What are some of the interesting things your startups are doing? How are they dealing with the current situation? and maybe tips for other entrepreneurs where they could learn how could we apply things to our businesses to kind of stay ahead of what's coming?
Well, most of our startups are in survival mode. Survival mode means all of them understand that they must not run out of cash. Cash is limited, and they're all cutting the costs, cutting salaries to everybody. They're not laying off people. We told them don't lay off people because you must stand by your people. But everybody get on survival mode, cut down what you spend, so that when this thing ends, you come out winners. Second, everybody is rethinking their strategy for the future. How to create a viable business which doesn't depend on further rounds of financing, because you're not sure whether you're going to get the money. So create the cash, become viable, generate your own cash. Third, how to improve productivity. What are the things that you do are not necessary? How to make people more productive? How to use technology better? Fourth, customer focus. How to make life easier for the customer so the business grows. Because many of them use complicated technology, which, for example, today you wanted me to come on Instagram, right? I suddenly saw in my cell phone that Instagram has been installed by Pranav. I never used it because I never felt the need for it. Now I tried to go there and do all. I just couldn't understand how to make it work. I mean, I'm not a, well, I know technology, but I'm not. My mind is not on this. And then you send me a video, you did everything else, correct? So they want to make it easier. For example, for Zoom, you just send a link, I press on it, and I'm on Zoom. For Instagram, you send me a link, I press on it, I'll go on Instagram. Why should I do all the things that you did just to come and talk to you on the show, right? So they want to think how to get customer focus, how to do things. And lastly, they're going to rethink the way they market and reach the consumer. Because most people think online means paying Facebook, Google, enormous amount of money to get people. And all of them forget there are hundreds of companies facing Facebook and Google. Google is not going to give all the business to you, right? So you are spending a lot of money. So you must develop your own strategy, how to reach your customers and do it effectively so that you don't spend too much money there. So at the end of it, reshape your business, rethink your strategy, make people more productive, reevaluate your technology, revamp the technology to do all the things that you want to do, didn't have time, and take a break and think through what you want to do and be in survival mode so that when you get up, you'll be much better. And like at Infosys for 25 years, we always kept enough cash on the balance sheet to meet 2 years expenditure. And people laughed at us. We had 30,000 crores. People laughed at us all the time. Now look at it, they're standing tall. They got enough money to buy many people over. They built up the cash. They've been cautious. So I think people in future will build up contingencies. I mean, this is a shock because the shock, I'm not seen in all my life this kind of a shock.
And it's nowhere is this more evident than in the airline sector. With if you look at Delta, United in America getting bailed out, they don't have cash to last for 1 month without revenues. It's incredible.
Just think in India whether SpiceJet and Go Air, whether they're going to come back after this happens. They need a bailout. Because, see, they're all cash flow business. They earn today, spend tomorrow. I was reading a tale about a restaurant, famous restaurant in New York, and you're saying, whatever I get money today, I pay for things I bought 30 days back. If money doesn't come, I can't pay anymore.
Yeah. No, very interesting. I'm gonna read out the last question here from Vikram, who's our chief storyteller, who heads our entire virtual events division. He says, "Hello, sir. Good to meet you." I think that is the new way to meet people now.
Thank you.
Does this mark your entry into Instagram? Ratan Tata became very active recently here too. Would you take the dive onto Instagram as well? Did you enjoy yourself today here?
Well, I enjoyed it. Is a nice medium. And for me, what matters is I can interact with people, but I want an easier way of doing it. And what you showed me, Aaron, that, I come to your, whatever you call it, your address there. And then you call me up and I press a button and suddenly I'm there. That is very useful. I wish the easier way of getting, yes, I'll be there, but I'm not going to put my photographs. I'm going to put all the things now. I mean, that's not very interesting for me because that doesn't interest me putting up my photographs and talking to people because I'm past the stage in my life. I will possibly want to use Instagram to interact with people, to talk to people, because I think it's a very good way of getting people on.
Thank you so much for joining us, sir. And where can people follow you if they want to find more of your content? What is the channel that you prefer? Is it Twitter or is it LinkedIn?
Well, LinkedIn, I got a lot of my articles, but my problem is I got 5,000 people waiting who want to join my network. And I
I'm
don't
one
have the
of
time
them.
to go on.
I'm one of them.
Yeah. I can't find the time to go on clicking to put them there. That's the problem. I can't get the time to go on clicking because, you have to click for everybody and, it's painful.
So I'm going to put up
it.
your Twitter over here.
Okay.
It's TV Mohandas Pai, at TV Mohandas Pai. I'm sure a majority of the people that are watching this are already following you, being in Bangalore and being part of the startups ecosystem. But I just want to thank you again on behalf of our entire community for coming on live, being so spontaneous. I reached out to you day before yesterday and you said, let's do it at 4 o'clock the same day. So it's just amazing how someone who can be involved in so many different things could create the time to take out an entire hour to come and spend with the next generation and talk to us. Sir, as any parting words or advice for us, a message of positivity, we have just 1 minute left.
No, I would say dream big, achieve your dream. The world is a fabulous place. All of you will have a great life, and I'm sure all of you will do well. But always keep your dream alive and dream big.
Super. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining us.